You know that feeling when you pick up your phone for just a minute, maybe while you're having coffee or winding down at the end of the day. You scroll for a bit and suddenly you're seeing it, your old classmate announcing their big promotion, someone you went to school with posting pictures of their new house, another friend celebrating their wedding or their first baby. All people roughly your age. You put the phone down and there it is, that quiet heaviness in your chest. Like everyone else is moving forward with their lives, and somehow you're still stuck in the same place. Nothing in your actual life changed during those 60 seconds. You're still the same person in the same place, but something inside you shifted. Most of us would call it jealousy, but it's not quite that. It's your mind quietly comparing your path to someone else's, as if you were both walking the same road. Over time, the more this happens, the more it starts to feel like you're falling behind, even when you're making steady progress in your own way. But in Japan, there's an old philosophy that completely rejects the idea that everyone's life should unfold on the same schedule. It's called Oubaitori. And once you understand it, you'll never measure your life against someone else's in quite the same way again. Humans have always measured themselves against the people around them. That part isn't new. What has changed is the scale. 100 years ago, you mostly compared your life to the small circle of people you actually knew. Today, you can compare yourself to thousands of strangers within minutes, and you only see the parts of their lives they chose to show. Your brain was never built for that. When you see someone else's success online, your mind doesn't always treat it as simple information. It can register it as a signal that you're falling behind. Because an ancient part of your brain, the part that once helped you understand your place in the group for survival, is now reacting to a digital world it wasn't designed for. So when you see a promotion, a wedding, or someone's beautiful vacation, that old system quietly asks, "Am I falling behind?" And that question is exhausting. Because you're no longer comparing your journey to someone else's journey. You're comparing your entire life to someone else's best 5 seconds. But long before social media existed, Japanese culture had already noticed something important about the way we look at progress. A simple reminder that every living thing has its own timing. It's called Oubaitori. The word comes from 4 trees: the cherry blossom, the plum, the peach, and the apricot. Each one blooms in its own season. The plum doesn't look at the cherry and wonder why it's late. The cherry doesn't see another tree bloom first and assume something is wrong. They simply follow their own rhythm. And that is the heart of Oubaitori. You were never meant to bloom according to someone else's calendar. Oubaitori isn't about giving up on growth or staying where you are. It's about understanding that real growth rarely happens on a schedule that matches anyone else's. The trouble is, we often see someone else's visible results while missing everything happening beneath the surface. A tree doesn't burst into full bloom overnight. Before the flowers appear, there are months, sometimes years, of quiet work underground, roots deepening, strength gathering. The same is true for us. Someone may look far ahead because you're only seeing their flower. You don't see the long seasons of struggle, the opportunities they were given, the sacrifices they made, or the doubts they're still carrying. Yet we take one shining moment from their life and compare it to the full, unseen story of our own. That comparison will almost always feel unfair. Oubaitori gently changes the question. Instead of asking, "Why am I not where they are?" you start asking, "Am I becoming who I am meant to become?" Your life is not a race with one finish line. There is no universal schedule everyone must follow. Some bloom early, some bloom later, some find their way only after years of searching. Late is not the same as wrong. A cherry blossom that opens after the plum does not make it any less beautiful, it simply means it followed its own season. And when you stop fighting your own timing, something important shifts. You stop wasting energy trying to catch up to lives that were never yours. That energy returns to you, to your own growth, your own path, and the person you were always capable of becoming. The hardest part about comparison is that it rarely feels like a choice. It just happens. You're scrolling through your phone, or you're at a family dinner, or you bump into an old friend, and before you've even registered what's going on, you're quietly measuring your life against theirs. This is exactly where Oubaitori begins. Not by telling yourself to stop noticing, but by learning to look at what you're noticing in a different way. The next time you feel that thought rising, "There's so much further ahead than I am," try pausing for a second. Instead of letting it run, gently ask, "Am I comparing two full lives here, or am I only looking at the parts that are easy to see?" Because the promotion, the wedding, the new house, the successful business, those are just the visible moments. What you don't see are the years of quiet effort, the setbacks, the doubts, the chances they were given, and the struggles they're still carrying. You're comparing your entire story to someone else's highlight, and that will almost always feel unfair. Oubaitori brings you back to your own timeline. Instead of wondering why you're not where they are, you start asking simpler questions. Am I growing compared to who I was last year? Am I handling things a little better than I used to? Am I becoming someone I can respect? These are the questions that actually matter. A tree in spring doesn't waste its energy counting how many blossoms the tree next to it has. It simply focuses on becoming what it was meant to become in its own time. And maybe that's the part we keep forgetting. The goal was never to bloom earlier than everyone else. The goal was simply to bloom. Because real growth rarely makes a lot of noise. Most of the time it happens quietly in the small choices you make when no one's watching, in the struggles you carry that no one else sees, and in the quiet work of becoming a little wiser, a little stronger, a little more yourself. And then one day, without forcing it, you bloom. Not because you finally caught up. Not because you rushed to keep pace with anyone else. But simply because your season arrived. So the next time someone else's success makes you question your own path, remember Oubaitori. Your timeline isn't wrong, it's yours. If this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Did you find it relatable? And what's one small shift you're thinking of making in how you view your own timing? If you're enjoying these Japanese philosophy ideas applied to real life, please subscribe and hit the bell, there's a lot more coming.